Hey, everybody. Good evening. It's the beginning of the week. It's Monday, and we're here streaming because I haven't been here in a few days. My name is Stuart Davis. I'm a flawed man of God. I'm a deacon at a small church just outside of Richmond, Virginia. I'm not a pastor. I'm not a biblical scholar, and I haven't been to seminary. I'm not trying to get you to join my church or donate to any special cause. What I'm here to do is talk about God, talk about Jesus, talk about the Holy Spirit, talk about the Bible, talk about Christianity, talk about a wide range of topics that are current events or just kind of on everybody's mind, and give you my perspective, a Christian perspective, somebody who has been a Christian all of his life. 39 years. I'm a non denominational Protestant. I don't subscribe to any particular doctrine or denomination. I'm just in the Word every day, trying to do better day in and day out. Sometimes you're going to see me get it right. Sometimes you're going to see me get it wrong. That's just the way it is. But if you're somebody who is looking, who is not a Christian or kind of on the edge, you're looking for meaning, you're looking for something, you're looking for that thing that gives you meaning beyond this life, beyond this existence here on this earth. Welcome to the show. Please listen if this offers you any type of substance. um, I'm happy to offer it to you. Um, Hopefully, this will give you some sort of springboard into a closer relationship with God. If you are already a Christian and you just enjoy Christian topics, conversation, whatever, uh, welcome as well. We've got a great chat, no matter where you lie on the Christian spectrum. If you are on, or if you aren't a Christian and you're just curious, doesn't matter. Please be part of the chat if you don't mind. I'd love to get your input and thoughts out there. We run this very similar to a Wednesday night study group or a Sunday school, where it's a small group of people getting together, and that's just where the stream is at right now, and it's great because we got a lot of regulars who come in, and your thoughts and whatever you have to say is valued. I will read it. I will react to it, just like I will be reading and reacting to the Bible that we're reading tonight. And with that said, and the intros out of the way, how's everybody doing this Monday? Hopefully, your weekend was good, relaxing, fulfilling in some way. Got a couple of days off. Um, I've got a new shirt. We went to the. We did end up making it to the to the concert on Friday, which was really up in the air. let me tell you guys. All right, so Thursday, son is like knocked out. Right, he's got some sort of bug. He's throwing up. He's got a fever. He is lethargic, and we were like, oh, he's got the flu. He's got to have the flu. Um, he stays home the next day from school, and I'm like, wife is thrown in the towel. He's not going to be able to make the concert. She's going to a concert with her dad up in Northern Virginia that night. I'm going to take my son out there. She's thrown in the towel. He's not going to make it. You need to give the tickets to somebody else. We have a good friend. His daughter was interested in going to see them, and I'm like, no, no, no. I was like, he could always turn around, because kids, man, if you've got kids, they can bounce back real quick. Odds aren't always in that favor, but especially if it's the flu. But that's where we were at, and I was holding out. And about 3 o'clock, I threw in the towel. He was still not looking all that well and everything. And I wanted to go ahead and give the tickets to my friend so he could make plans and go ahead. Well, 5 o'clock rolls around. He's like, yeah, my kid's not feeling all that great, so we're not going to make it. Meanwhile, my son is crawling all over my back, wanting to horse around. He's bouncing off the walls, and I'm like, all right, we're taking him. So, got him dressed, took him out. He was out late, but got to see. He got there. He was a surprise. He didn't know. He was excited. He kind of figured it was going to be a concert of some sort, because it was Richmond City Music Hall was the destination in the GPS. So he was like, "Oh, it's got to be a concert of some sort." And he was like, "Bit Brigade, really?" wanted to get right up to the front of the stage, wanted to listen, wanted to see him play Mega Man. They did DuckTales first. It's a very good show. It was a very good show. It doesn't last long, and which was good because if it didn't start until the opener came out in 8. I don't think the show really started until 9. So he was up kind of late, but it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to see it in action. I mean, he opened up the guy. So if you don't know, Bit Brigade, they play video game music. They put it to rock and roll. And they play the music as you would be listening to it. If you were playing the game, and to kind of help out with that experience, they have a guy on stage playing through the different games. So he speed ran through DuckTales, and then he did the same thing with Mega Man 2, which Mega Man 2, greatest soundtrack of all time, and especially when they do it and they play through it. Even the transitioning from the level music to the boss music to the victory music, it all goes through. Just they're watching, and it's pretty cool. But the guy playing the video games warms up by just rolling through Marble Madness. So nothing but great, and which to me as a kid, that game would cause me nightmares. So it was a really cool experience. He had a blast. His ears were ringing afterwards because, like I said, he's right next to the stage. We were able to worm our way up there, and it was loud. I told him, I was like, look, this is gonna be loud. This is gonna be loud. But he didn't care. But by the end, his ears were hurting, and as soon as Dr. Wily got defeated and they played the outro music to Mega Man 2, he was like, all right, we can go now. We can go now. And and then the whole ride home, my ears are ringing. My ears are ringing. He's fine now, though. He's fine. He had a great time. He got himself a Bit Brigade t-shirt, and it's the Mega Man one it's the box art from the original Mega Man 1 game. And he picked it. I thought he was going to pick Wily's Castle, but it is whatever. But apparently they play in Richmond a lot, so we'll definitely go back next time I catch him, because like I said, the show's pretty cool. And that was when we did the Christmas parade. We had the Christmas parade in town yesterday, so they got to see that. And we got to hang out with some friends, and then we went and me and my wife celebrated my buddy's birthday by getting hibachi last night. So that was the closest thing I had to you, Blaine. I was thinking of you when I was eating hibachi. Welcome back, by the way, Blaine. We've missed you. And hello, Porcupine. I saw you at the beginning. If I didn't say hi to begin with, hi. I'm excited to see Blaine is back. Blaine, a lot has happened since you've left, Blaine related. So, I finished Bleach, except for the new one, the 1,000-Year Blood War. I finished the show. I'm watching 1,000-Year Blood War. There is a huge difference, though, between Bleach that you going up to this point, like the Bleach show that they thought. I mean, it ends on a pretty good note, right? The last season of Bleach kind of like ends, like it wraps up the series kind of well, except for, you never really establish, and it kind of ends in the same way that Musashi ends. There's no, and I finished that. I finished that last week as well. Finished Musashi. There's no resolution on the relationship status of Ichigo, right? Because he's got two gals that are that seem like there's some relationship tension there, but with what was it, Orihime and I can't remember her name, but anyway, so that show wraps up, and then we go into Thousand Year Blood War, and it is like this is a show that is for adults. It went from, teenager level Rukia Kuchiki, that's right. Teenage level anime to Castlevania. I also finished Castlevania. I finally finished the 4th season of Castlevania. Blaine, you've got to review Castlevania. You've got to review it. Whether you consider it anime or not, you got to review it. It's great. It's great. Season 2 and season 4 are awesome. Anyway, had a blast. So since you've been gone, this has been since you've been gone. So that's what you get. You've missed a lot. Lots happened, but I've said it a couple times that we've missed you. I'll try to catch some streams too, as well. So, but yeah, that's where we're at. That was my weekend. I had a pretty full weekend since you've been gone. Yeah, I'm thinking of the Weird Al Since You've Been Gone song. I've been almost as miserable as I've been if you were still here. Or I feel almost as bad as I would if you were still here. But yeah, no, big eventful weekend. Big eventful weekend. Oh, and the youth minister. So we around the time of the Hans Feeney episode, we interviewed a new youth minister to come on. And before he came on board, I was me and a lady were teaching the middle schoolers. We didn't really have any high schoolers, but there was a high schooler, they'd kind of filter into our class doing the Sunday school for the middle schoolers. And so we brought him on, and young, and he came from a church that I used to be at, and I had a lot of problems with the church, that particular church, and its leadership. A lot of his references were people that I didn't like. There were people that I had a problem with their behavior and attitude. But he interviewed really well. Like, he interviewed really well. Like, he said what I thought a person should say if they took the position seriously, if they took their faith seriously, if they wanted to do what they were going to do. And so I was like, bring him on board. I had to look past, the references, because look, that's the church he went to. So, who else is he going to get for the most part? And it's been a hands down success. He's got the kids excited. I've talked to him a few things about, it seems like we come from a similar place as far as our views on Christianity and everything. And he's definitely got a mission in mind. So he actually talked to me, because I don't talk much about my stream at church. We have some people who tune in. So there are definitely people who know about it. But we make jokes. One of the other guys in my Sunday school, makes a joke. He's like, hey, here he is. He's not a pastor or a biblical scholar, but he's going to give us his opinion on things. He enjoys it. I've gotten a lot of good feedback from people, but for the most part, it's not really much that's discussed. And I've never really talked about it with him, but he said, hey, I came across your stream. It was in my Facebook feed the other day. I was like, I really liked your intro and how you're telling people, look, I'm not trying to sell you something. I'm not trying to recruit you into my thing. I've got this faith, and I'm going to share it with you. And he said that, I think that's what's resonating with people now. And I know that works with you guys. I know that works with I know that y'all enjoy it, or else y'all wouldn't be tuning in unless you're hate watching me, but that doesn't seem to be the case because I get 100% likes unless Nick Ricada comes on, and then I get like 99% likes. But I get 100% likes. You guys are great and very positive and encouraging. On top of all the other great things I can say about you guys. How's it going, Alias? But he goes, I think that's really resonating with people. I think that's a good thing, and we're starting to see a return. People, and what he said was basically he was starting to see people kind of return to the structure, the seeking out the structure and the discipline of more traditional church beliefs. And I agree. He said, like I said, he's in a completely different world. I mean, he, like I said, early 20s, just out of Bible college, um, and like I said, he's in a completely different space than me, and he's kind of seeing some similar things that I've been hearing. So that's good. That's some positive news. We've got some interesting interesting breaking, or I guess developing information goings on with the Methodist Church. They're expecting somewhere around 3 to 5,000 churches in America to leave the United Methodist Church. So maybe I'll cover that a little bit, but it's Advent season. It's Advent season, and we're in 2 Samuel talking about David, so I like doing it. Nico, what are you doing? Texan Italian's in here. Nico's in here. We've got we've got a good group of the fellas in. So welcome all. Welcome all who are watching. Welcome all who are watching the replay. And like I said, hopefully things are going as well for you guys as it is for me. If not, guys, just do what you can to get through it. And like so many people will say, it gets better. Things go bad. Things are bad. Things are good. Things are bad. Things are good. It comes in waves. And if you keep a good, not necessarily a positive attitude, a good attitude, a responsible attitude, I'm going to do what I need to do and what's expected of me attitude, you'll be able to shake, you'll be able to weather it. That's the best thing. And that good attitude comes with a reliance on God. And trust me, that can be at times a difficult thing, especially for us as men. I know most of you guys, Porcupine Blaine, alias Nico, Texan Italian, we're all coming from the same place, it's hard. We're problem solvers, right? And we're people of action, so we like to fix things, right? And sometimes it's difficult when we're in a situation or we're in a season in our life where what we're doing is not working. And even in times where things are going the way, but it's difficult for us to kind of, let Jesus take the wheel, as some people say, but just give it to God, and let him get you through, what life has to throw at you. And that's not to say that he didn't give you common sense, brains, for a reason, right? They definitely gave it for a reason. Use your sense, be sensible, be smart, be responsible, but at the same time, understand what you're going through is temporary. Even if your entire life is a mess, even if your entire life is a mess and you just can't get out of this rut, you can't get out of you can't avoid misfortune, and it's just one speed bump, one bad day after another, it's still only temporary. Your entire life, it's just temporary. There is better things to come. And if you were born with with the horseshoe up your rear end, and everything you love, everything you touch turns to gold, it's temporary. And there are better things ahead if you put your faith in the Lord. Some would say either side of those extremes it's difficult to keep the faith. And I'm somewhere in the middle on the more blessed side of the middle. And I can tell you, I love God. I love him so much. I love him so much. I do his very amateur stream as many nights a week as possible to try to tell everybody about how great he is. So tonight we're going to talk about David. David's victory lap is what I said in the description. What we saw beforehand, David conquering people, consolidating. He's king. Blaine, I don't know where you were when you where we were in the Bible when you took off and did your whole weeb adventure, but but this is God makes his promise to David because David's like, look, I'm in this nice place. God's Ark of the Covenant, which is basically our best, the where we commune with him. He's in a tent. I need to build him a house. God says, no, because I get it. I didn't ask for one. I don't need one. Don't do it. But what I'm going to do for you, and I'm going to build you a house. And I'm going to build you a house, the house of David, the line of David, David's ancestral line, and talk about things. And David's basically, I don't deserve any of this, and God, you're so great. Saying it in the way that that David says, with lots of fervor, lots of humility, and lots of righteousness. This is a God simping stream. Yes, always. This will always be a God simping stream. Blaine says, me neither. Saul throwing spears and David and Jonathan, no homo. Yeah, Jonathan's dead. Saul's dead. David's king now. But we're going to revisit the house of Saul tonight and some things that I talked about last stream, I think. So just an FYI, Thursday, no stream, but hopefully I can get a Friday chill stream finally in here. It's been a while since I've done one. Probably like 4 weeks, I want to say. Friday's busy for me, guys. Fridays are busy. So so we left off on that. So let's see where things go. David's victory. So things are still pretty good, right? 2 Samuel chapter 8. In the course of time, David defeated the Philistines, as God said, and subdued them. He took Metheg Ammah from the control of the Philistines. David also defeated the Moabites. He made them lie down on the ground and measured them off with a length of cord. Every 2 lengths of them were put to death, and the 3rd length was allowed to live. Imagine laying on the ground and you're looking back going, oh man, trying to do the math in your head. And it comes up like you're going to be all right. But then you did the math wrong and you just get killed. And because you think you're safe, but you're all worried, but you're really sad for the guys beneath you and the guys ahead of you, or behind you and the guys ahead of you. And then you get the spear. So the Moabites became the subject to David and brought him tribute. Bring me your monies. Moreover, David defeated Hadadezer, son of Rehob, king of Zobah. When he went to restore his monument at the Euphrates River, David captured 1,000 of his chariots, 7,000 charioteers, and 20,000 foot soldiers. He captured them. He hamstrung all but 100 of the chariot horses. What happened to the guy? How come? What happened to the people? When the Arameans of Damascus came to help Hadadezer, king of Zobah, David struck down 22,000 of them. He put garrisons in the Aramean kingdoms of Damascus, and the Arameans became Arameans, whatever, became subject to him and brought tribute. The Lord gave David victory wherever he went. Right? We're seeing God, truth, making a promise. You're seeing David keeping faith with that promise, living up as best he can to that bit of the bar, to his side of the agreement for that promise. So, and there you go. Blaine says he's not going to stream. He's going to stream tomorrow. He has no voice right now. We'll see how your voice looks. It sounds tomorrow too. Up in the air, but Blaine, as a pause in the middle of this, glad it seemed like you had a pretty good trip. Got there safe. You came back safe. Hope your voice is restored. God bless you, man. David took the gold shields that belonged to the officers of Hadadezer and brought them to Jerusalem. From Teba to Berothai, towns that belonged to Hadadezer, David took a great quantity of bronze. When Tou, king of Hamath, heard that David had defeated the entire army of Hadadezer, who apparently is very popular because he's written in here like 3 more times, it feels like, he sent his son Joram to King David to greet him and congratulate him on his victory in the battle over Hadadezer, who he had been at war with. Joram brought with him articles of silver, of gold, and of bronze. King David dedicated these articles to the Lord, as he had done with the silver and gold from all the nations he had subdued: Edom and Moab, the Ammonites, and the Philistines, and Amalek. He also dedicated the plunder taken from Hadadezer, son of Rehob, king of Zobah. And David became famous after he returned from striking down 18,000 Edomites in the Valley of Salt. Some salty losers there of the Edomites. He put garrisons throughout Edom, and all the Edomites became subject to David. The Lord gave David victory wherever he went. Repeated, just so you know it's true. Dresden's in the chat. Hi, he said. Hello, Dresden, as usual. David's officials. David reigned all over Israel, doing what was just and right for all his people. Joab, son of Zeruiah, was over the army. Jehoshaphat, son of Ahilud, was recorder. Zadok, son of Ahitub, and Ahimelech, son of Abiathar, were priests. Sariah was secretary. Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, was over. I hate when they do this. That's interesting. An alternate pronunciation. Yeah, all of it is. Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, was over the Kerethites and the Pelethites, and David's sons were priests. Just for a second, just for a moment, pause. I feel like at some point, one of the Israelites needs to go put the Senate. Like, can we, like, if we've got a king or a high priest or something, can we just not have their kids be priests as well, their sons be priests? Because this doesn't historically work in our favor. Let's just make them be shepherds. Of course, there's a name like this. David and Mephibosheth. Let's call it Mephibosheth. David asked, "Is there anyone still left of the house of Saul to whom I can show kindness for Jonathan's sake?" Now there was a servant of Saul's household named Ziba. They summoned him to appear before David. And the king said to him, "Are you Ziba?" "At your service," he replied. Sounds like the Hobbit. The king asked, "Is there no one still alive from the house of Saul to whom I can show God's kindness?" Ziba answered the king, "There is still a son of Jonathan. He is lame in both feet." Where is he? The king asked. Ziba answered, He is at the house of Machir, son of Amiel, in Lo-debar. So the King David had him brought from Lo-debar, from the house of Machir, son of Amiel. When Mephibosheth, son of Jonathan, the son of Saul, came to David, he bowed down to pay honor to him. David said, Mephibosheth! At your service, he replied. Don't be afraid, David said to him, for I will surely show you kindness for the sake of your father Jonathan. I will restore you to all the land that belonged to your grandfather Saul, and you will always eat at my table. Mephibosheth bowed down and said, What is your servant that you should notice a dead dog like me? Then the king summoned Sheba, Saul's steward, and said to him, I have given your master's grandson everything that belonged to Saul and his family. You and your sons and your servants are to farm the land for him and bring in the crops so that your master's grandson may be provided for. And Mephibosheth, grandson of your master, will always eat at my table. Now Ziba had 15 sons and 20 servants. Okay. That's a decent workforce. Then Ziba said to the king, Your servant will do whatever my lord the king commands his servants to do. So Mephibosheth ate at David's table like one of the king's sons. Mephibosheth had a young son named Micah, and all the members of Ziba's household were servants of Mephibosheth. And Mephibosheth lived in Jerusalem because he always ate at the king's table. He was lame in both feet. This is kind of what I was talking about here. This chapter, it doesn't forward it doesn't really talk about where David's going. It's talking about David looking back and not forgetting where he comes from. We know that and this is again, David's the guy, David's the man, right? He's the guy that you know who's a good dude all around, good at a lot of things that he puts his mind to, honors God, and is also just and fair and friendly by all accounts, and well liked as a result of it. Some people just got it, right? I know a couple of people like that. I got a good friend who's just like that. And it's great thing to see in action. David's kind of like the penultimate version of that. But he's at least at this point. And then he's sitting there kind of thinking about things, and I've got all these blessings, but there's still some pain in my past, right? There's still my best friend got killed, basically following his dad, and not in a bad or dishonorable way. He stuck by his dad's side. The same thing. David would have been doing the same thing if Saul had not ostracized him completely, trying to kill him. David would have been right there with him. But he wasn't. And he misses his buddy. Even though things with Saul were so sour. It's the same thing. David's like, God picked Saul for a reason. And so he's like, what can I do? I need to make things up. I need to make sure this family who has undergone a great deal of tragedy and loss, because it's Saul dies. 3 of his sons die. The remaining son gets murdered, right? And the daughter that David's married to, she's really salty, right? Like Lot's wife levels of salt. And she seems to be a very cold woman. So just, it is what it is, right? David's the king. He can do something about it. And so they find that Mephibosheth, this is Jonathan's son, is still around. and he's been basically in hiding probably for the most part, worried about what David's going to do with him. He ran from a lot of the tumult that was going on at the time that Saul died. So he's kind of been destitute probably for the most part. And he's like, no, you are my best friend's kid. You've been orphaned, and it's time for you. It's time for me to do something for you because I can't because of you to repay your dad's kindness to me. Here's all of your ancestral lands and holdings and property back, fully restored, and you've got a place at my table every night. Every night you got a place at my table. So, and there he is. And look, again, lame in both feet. Look, there's not a whole lot you can do. All right, because remember, a man's work was very labor intensive at that time. There's not a whole lot he can do if he's poor. He can't thatch roofs. He can't work in the fields. He can't be a carpenter. Here's a lot of things you need. By the way, guys, you need a lot of times, especially back then, you need your whole body to do woodworking. Not there. There's not a lot of power tools around there, but you can't masonry, all these other things. He can't do it. He can't make a life for himself. Doesn't matter anymore. He even gets to have a kid, right? He's got a family. He gets to start a family again, where everything seemed at an end for Saul. And by the way, Michal, his daughter that's married to David, doesn't have any kids. She's kind of a Bia, right? So this is that chapter where we see, like I said, the Bible's full of relatable times, and we all imagine ourselves, if I won the lottery, right? If I won the lottery, if I came into millions of dollars and everything, I would, pay off I'd pay my parents' houses off. I'd pay my friends' houses off. I'd pay my brother's student debt off, blah, 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 all these things that you would do for your friends and family. David doesn't. David doesn't. For his best friend. And so that's great. That's why I said this is the relatable. The Old Testament has a lot in it like this that's relatable. It's got a lot of intrigue. It's got a lot of evil being done, a lot of righteousness being done, a lot of God's punishment on people, but a lot of God's blessings as well. More blessings than anything. So Rick Frias, the immortal outlaw. Skipping a little ahead. We're not in the Gospels yet, though, buddy. But Matthew 25:31-33, when the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, then he will sit on his glorious throne. Before him will be gathered all the nations and separate the sheep, blop, 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 from the goats. And if I mispronounced your last name, I apologize. But yeah, that came a little out of left field. That doesn't make it any less true or less worthy to be said. But there you have it. There you have it. So that's where we're at with David. So we're right in David's right in his prime right now. Here in 2 Samuel, and he's got a lot of opportunity here, taking advantage of it. God's blessing him with victories. God's blessing has already blessed him with the kingdom, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there aren't there's not a great weight of responsibility on David. And and what we've seen from David so far, from when he's introduced, when Samuel, meets him, when he, lays down all that smack talk to Goliath right before he beats him. As he's ignoring Saul, trying to kill him, as he's on the run from Saul, has opportunities to kill Saul, but doesn't, because he's like, look, this is the guy God picked to be king, and God hasn't told me it's okay to get rid of him. So I'm going to stay loyal to him. To now that he's king, he's been making one righteous move after another. Boom, boom, boom. And this is what, look, David is, in many respects, a hero. But nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. That's why Christ's example, that's one of the big things of Christ becoming or coming to earth and living that perfect life. There's a lot more to it than that. But this is kind of a reminder. Christ's perfect. David's not. And we're gonna see further down, David's gonna slip up. He's gonna make his mistakes. And the question there is, right? We've already seen Saul make grievous mistakes. And instead of really just being penitent and throwing himself on the mercy of the court, throwing himself at God's mercy, we are going to, Saul just kind of gives up. I'm just going to be king. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, right? And we see evil deed after bad decision, after, just do whatever you can to tick God off. Just act in the most selfish way possible. And that's what Saul kind of does. He doesn't get out of his own way. Will David be the same? That's why I said Saul's being the first king does a great job contrasting what David does as the next king. And it's kind of interesting how God sorts that out. He's like, look, I'm going to give you a king. I've warned you about all this stuff. I told Samuel to warn you. I've told you all this stuff that you're going to get about a king you don't like. You're going to get a king. You're not going to like having a king. So here is probably the most human of all the kings of that'll rule over Israel. Saul's the most fallible one. He doesn't really seem evil at heart, but he doesn't have God in his heart. If you can, and that's probably a bad way for me to explain it, but it's kind of like he's almost neutral. But being neutral means he's doing bad things, right? He's just in it for himself. He's not in it to do anything else but just, I think I can probably make the right decision whether God tells me to do it or not. And he doesn't. And I think a lot of ways, Saul is the kind of person that many of us would be if we're just thrown into the situation and we let the power, we let the trappings, we let the privilege, we let all that stuff become our identity instead of doing like what David's doing, which is, I'm nobody to you. I'm nobody and I just sit in your shadow, God, and I'm happy about that, but I feel unworthy, right? David is humble. David is full of love and loyalty. That's what's in his heart. And that's a big difference between him and Saul. And maybe and this is what a friend of mine who did this great when he preached about Joseph to my church. We read Joseph and everybody wants to relate to Joseph. You're probably not Joseph. You're probably one of his brothers in the story. And it's true, right? We're probably Saul. There's not a whole lot of Davids out there. There's a lot of Sauls out there. Unfortunately, there's a lot of other people who would be just like all the other kings of Israel, not including Solomon. So if you like where you're going with David, where David is right now. You're gonna love. We're gonna love it when we get to Solomon and start talking about him. Um, but all the other kings of Israel, very similar to a lot of our leaders in political offices across the globe. Very much the all about me, selfishness, the power, all about and most of them get into it seeking that out. That's another difference between Saul and a lot of these other kings. Saul was a decent dude. Saul was a decent dude going into when he was anointed, right? Affable, maybe a little into himself, but again, at the same time, humble. Who am I? I'm a nobody, God. Why are you picking me for this? Okay, I guess I'm going to do this. But fearful, kind of stage is a little bit too big for him. That's common for a lot of us. And so Saul's a great example for us to remember what not to be, right? When we do get blessings from God, and there are many and they're great. Don't let that make you and guide you into a place where you think you're bigger than God, or you're on equal footing, or you can just assume what he wants. That's not true. You're going to end up screwing up. I've done it. You guys have done it. And we will do that from time to time. And there should be some repentance, some grief about that when we screw up. We have grace. I like it, Alias. When you get to Solomon, you just split that study in half. All streams will be half as long. How about this? How about this? I'll stream half of Solomon's chapters, and Blaine can stream the other half. We'll let Blaine stream the other half. So, all right, guys. All right. I feel like this stream has been longer than it is. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot to perseverate on these other two chapters, except for, kind of wrapping up everything at the end and the commentary at the end. Because basically we're saying, look, David just kicks everybody's tail up and down the Middle East, right? He is just beating everybody. No, we're not. Blaine, knew you'd do that. Harem stream. Stop it. You don't want the harem stream. You don't want the harem stream, and you know exactly why. We know exactly why. We'll know about it. Look, we're gonna understand Solomon's downfall for the exact same reason that David's um mistakes. We're gonna understand Solomon's mistakes, and yeah. All right, guys, it's been great. Blaine, like I said, glad to have you back. Glad you had some safe travels. Hope you got some stuff. Hope you got some stories to share with your stream. Hopefully, I can tune in for a couple of them, and I hope your voice improves greatly. Rick Frias, hey, glad you tuned in a little bit. That's great. You wanna come in with Bible verses in the chat? I'm all for it. I'm all for it. No spoilers though. We do have some folks in the stream who haven't read the whole thing yet. Right. Alias, Texan Italian, Dresden. Got a big crew in there tonight. Porcupine Mayhem. I know you're listening while you're doing your work. As always, fellas. As always. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate your viewership, what y'all contribute in the chat, and all your perspectives on things. It's great. So, thank you, sir. Great host. Hey, I'll take that all day. Great host. For now, we'll see. Anyway, all right, everybody. hopefully your week hopefully your week is starting off well, but we'll be streaming mostly this week, so tune in the next time you are able. We'll be here tomorrow night. In the meantime, everybody have a very good night, and God bless.